this is the drawing we have from before we went on break. We have these lines here, 1, 2, 3. And then these are the 4 half sections of the 3 slides that we have. Now, we could go on and extrude this, but it means that we have 0 tolerance between the sliding bodies, which is not practically possible. If you are going to manufacture it, they won't slide. So you have to input an amount of tolerance. And to do that, what we are going to do, let me take the dimensions and the constraints showing off. I can do that by going to I can remove the constraints and I'm only removing them from being shown. The dimensions are still there, but they are not explicitly seen. Okay, so this is the drawing we have. What I'm trying to explain here is that between this middle slide and this inner slide, there should be some constraints, there should be some tolerance. Let us say a tolerance of about 0.1 of a millimeter. You can, but practice will make perfect. You will be able to see whether you should make it bigger or smaller as you actually make real objects, either by 3D printing or by actual manufacturing. The thing to do here is to do what is called an offset. We can begin by offsetting this drawing through a distance of 0.1 of a millimeter. To do that, you go to the modify section and you choose offset, and it says select curves. This is the curve you want to offset, and the offset position is minus 0.1 of a millimeter, and that is it here. So you can see, let me make it bigger so you can see what it has done. It has created the tolerance by duplicating that line. We're going to remove some of one of the lines as we go on, but at least that is something you can see here. And then if we offset if we want to do the offset again, we can talk about this one, and we can create this offset again by minus 0.1 millimeters. If we do that, the next thing to do is to do a cutting. If we cut some of the unnecessary lines, for instance, the top part of this one is not necessary, the bottom one is enough. So I can cut this one off. I can cut this one. I can cut this one off too. So that is the cut. I've done that cutting. And inside in the larger one, I can cut this one also off here. I can cut the top one here off. And then cut it off to this point here. So if you look carefully now, you will see that the inner one is a complete closed curve, but that complete closed curve is not touching the one that is next to it. Similarly, let me see whether there's a problem here. There's still a small problem here. There's a place to cut off here. So I'm cutting this one off. So if we look at it now, you will see that it is still the same drawing, but there's a slight offset between the inner and the middle stuff here with a tolerance. And then similarly, the middle to the outer one, there's also a tolerance. So there is nothing touching the other. If we do that, the next thing we're going to do is to start filleting. Filleting is to make a gentle curve instead of the sharp edges that you see in some of these joints, at these corners. And you have, to fillet, you have this filleting icon here. So if you choose fillet there, you can, oh, sorry, before I fillet, I need to do a circle here. If I do a circle here, and I can do a circle here, that circle is supposed to create the circle is supposed to create the groove. And I'm supposed to have done that circle before the offsetting. So instead of going over that, I will just show you where I've done it correctly. So if I did the circle before the offsetting, this is what I will have. I'll have a situation where the circle here is also offset with the thing, and there's a groove here. If I do everything correctly, then I have this next drawing here. And the only other thing that is here is that we have done the filleting around these edges. I will take an earlier curve to show you how the filleting is done. Even though that one does not have this offset, but it will explain the filleting method. To do the filleting here, you just take the fillet icon, click it, and then choose the two lines to fillet at the angle, the two lines at the angle. And if you're happy with that, it says 1.5 millimeters and 0.5 millimeters. I think that is good enough. So if you're happy with that, if you take the marking menu, you can right click. If you right click, it says repeat fillet. So you take repeat fillet, you can do the fillet here again, this one and this one, the same fillet. You say you accept that. You do another fillet for this outer one. Fillet. Okay, first of all, do use the marking menu and then fillet here and here. So that is that. There's an error in this fillet here. Let me just let me go back 2 steps to remove that error. Okay, so let me do the fillet again. Marking menu, repeat fillet. That is here. Okay, so if I do the repeat fillet here too, and then we can do another fillet here and a fillet here. All those fillets are all the same. So that's why I'm not, and if you forget or you have any difficulty, you can right click. If you right click, you get the marking menu. So that is repeat fillet from this to this. So you can do the fillet, do it with offsetting the circle. By the time you finish all of that, you are going to arrive at this drawing. This drawing here is the same drawing as we had before. We have done 2 enhancements or 3 enhancements. The first enhancement is that we did a groove here using a notch or a groove with the circle. All we did is to take a circle, center circle, and click it here and just select the radius. So the circle here with the radius will give you the circle. And then if you do the filleting here, filleting there. So everything where they are touching, everyone is smooth going. And we have basically finished the drawing now. And we are now ready to do the next step before we begin to extrude. And the next step before extrusion is to now create a mirror. Remember that from the beginning, what we were working with was half the drawing. Now that if we have completed our work on this, then we can now get the whole drawing by creating a mirror image of what we have there. And to do that, you see there is a mirror icon here that tells you to create a mirror, or you could take it from create and say create mirror. So create mirror has its own dialogue. The dialogue of the mirror has 2 things required. What object do you want to mirror, and where is the mirror line? There are several ways to do this, but one cheap way, one easy way, is to just use a fence. If you start with a fence that carries all the things you have done before, that selects everything that is there. Everything you can see has been selected. And then it says 74 elements selected. You may wonder, did you do up to 74 elements? Well, all your lines, all your fillets, all your constraints, all of those things add up to 74. You could also pick them one. For instance, if I take that off, I can pick this line, then pick this line, then pick this line. Maybe I should use I should hold down my shift key. I can be picking them one by one, but it's not as efficient as picking them using the fence. So let me just take that off and go back again to the mirror dialog, and I say it said select objects. This is the mirror dialog, which is select objects to be mirrored. So I take a fence. I take a fence and select all the objects I want to mirror, 74 of them. Then I click the next dialog, which is the mirror line. The mirror line, there is no line horizontal here where I want to mirror it. I have two choices. I can either draw a line here so that I can use it for mirroring, or I can go back to the browser. If I go back to the browser and make the origin active, I can choose the Z-axis as my mirror line. So if I choose the Z-axis as my mirror line, you see, the mirror line has been selected. So you see what has happened now. So with the mirror line selected, I can press OK. And when I press OK, the entire object has been fully mirrored. So let us see the whole thing in full. So see how it looks like. Let me take this sketch palette off so that you can see the whole thing. So even though we worked only on one side, the mirroring has created the full picture on both sides. So we have a mirror image now. So this is the section for the inner slide, the middle slide, and the outer slide. So we can do very many things we like now from here. Let us see so from here, I can put it in plan view. If I put it in plan view, I can create solid objects. Before I do what we really want to do, let us say we want to create solids of revolution from here. Let me just create solids of revolution here and see what it will look like if we created solids of revolution. Okay, I can say create, I first of all say finish sketch. So I finish my sketch and I can say now I want to create revolve. If I want to create revolve, it just asks me to choose the profile to revolve. If I choose this profile to revolve, then the next thing I need to choose is the axis of revolution. Again, the Z-axis is the axis of revolution. So let me just go there. I have to choose axis, then come and choose the axis from. So immediately, you can see if I revolve the cross-section of the inner one, and I can now say, let us say I create a component from that. I can say create a new component from that, and that is a component there. I can say, okay. I can come back again and turn on the sketch and say create another revolve. I can create another revolve. Let us say I create the revolve based on I need a profile. This is a profile. And then I want to create a new component. And I want to select the axis of revolution. Axis of revolution is Z. Okay, the Fusion 360 is not responding. Yeah, I don't know why. But my Fusion 360 seems to have frozen here. That is okay, it has come back. Okay, let me do another one. If I create a revolve, let me select another object here. If I create a revolve on this and remove this one and select the axis of revolution, which is Z-axis, it has done this revolve around that, a new component. So that's another component. And now you may not see that tooth because this one almost completely is. Let me create the third object and see whether we can. Let me see whether I can create the third revolve now. Create revolve. Profile. Axis. Angle. I want the angle to be 180. And I want a new component. let's see. It's okay. It's not. This is not. It's not. It's complaining there's an error. So let us take the. Let's take this back, and instead of, you can see that we can create revolutions from it. But that's not what we are interested in. We wanted to extrude. If we, let us say we extrude this. Let me take this one that was difficult to revolve at that time, and create an extrusion. I create an extrusion. And I want the extrusion, I've selected the profile. I want the extrusion to start on the profile plane. This is the dialog of the extrude, and I want it to be symmetrical to both sides. So as I'm moving it on one side, and I want to create a component with it. So let us say I make it 200 mm. No, let us say 150 mm. That is it. So that is the outer, that's the outermost part, and it's now existing as a component. If I want to look at the sketch again and open the sketch, then I can create another extrusion, create, extrude. This time, let me choose the inner thing there, and I want it to be extruded on both sides symmetrically, and I want a distance of 150 millimeters. So you can see the second part, and I want it to be a new component. Okay, so let us just take a look. I have created two extrusions. I've created the innermost and the outermost, leaving out the middle one. So this is it now. So let me now create the middle one. I can create the middle one. I can create extrude again. And now, let me see. I can choose the middle part. This middle part. And I want to create my extrusion. I want, again, as before, I want it to be symmetrical. And I want to make it 150 millimeters on both sides. 150 millimeters. So you see, okay, no, not new body, but new component. Okay. So let's go home. So you can see the three parts of the slider, of the base slider, have been created. And the thing about this is that you are able to actually switch off. Let me switch off two components so that you have only one there. So if you want to see the outermost component alone, that is. If you want to see the innermost component alone, that is it. If you want to see the middle component alone, that is it, with its groove and everything. So all these things are just coming from the simple drawing we have. And let us see how much time we have left and see what we can still do. So I want to go back to the slides now and discuss. If you have questions, please, if you have questions, don't feel free. If there are things that confuse you, that you want me to go over, let me know, whereby you're asking a question on the chat room, in the chat room. So let us go back to the slides. Okay. And the slideshow from current slide. Please, class, can you see my slides now? My slides clear? I'm not getting any response. Okay, let's see. I'm getting a response now. You can, okay, fashion. When you want to revolve a component, how do you choose the axis of rotation? Okay. There is a question from Olarinde Ali. How do you choose an axis of revolution when you want to revolve? Okay, if that is the case, I want to go back because of Olarinde Ali's question. I want to go back and choose, and let us do the revolve again. To do revolve, let me go back to the Fusion 360 page. Fusion 360 page. Let us take something that has, let's take something that has, I'm trying to go back to an example of Fusion 360. Let us take this step 3 diagram here. It's loading. Okay, on Monday, on what D is answering you, you can use the origin or draw a symmetric line. That is the correct thing. So you can draw a symmetric line. And in the example I've done, I've used the origin, which is the coordinates, and chosen the Z axis. So that is one way you can do it. And here, my Fusion 360 is loading slowly. I don't know why. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so suppose I want to extrude this. If I want to revolve this, the easiest thing for me to do, since the Z axis is the axis that I want to use, I can, if you want to revolve this, you create revolve, and then since I already chose the profile, it knows that what profile has been selected, then you choose axis. You can go to the origin and now select the Z axis, because the Z axis is where I want to revolve through here. And that's it. But if I make a mistake, and I choose the wrong axis, let us say I choose the Y axis. This may not be what I intend, but this is another revolve. Let's see how this one looks like. Let's also say it's a new component. Let's use you see, it depends on what I want to create. This can create, depends on what, if this is what I want, then that's okay. Or as somebody said, you could also repeat along a created line. You can create a line for that. So I'll cancel this and then go back home. So I hope I've answered the question. Let's see. Okay, so Olarinde Ali is clear. Okay, good. So you can draw, you draw lines where you have to. Many times you don't need to draw lines to do these things. If the coordinate lines will be good enough, but there will be situations where the coordinate lines will not be good enough, and you have to create a line for the purpose of revolving. If you don't need a line for anything else, turn it to a construction line. I keep saying turn it to a construction line. Like we know how to do that. If you can modify this sketch again, and can modify the sketch, say edit. If you want to edit the sketch, there are things you can do on an edited sketch. What you can do, if you want to create a line, you can go here and trace a line from the origin here and let the line be very long. That's the line, and you can make sure that that line is vertical. So that line is vertical. So that line is vertical. Now, if you want to make it a construction line, what do? You can just select the line when it is having a thick blue outline and press X. If you press X, you see that the line turns into dashed lines. That is a line for construction. It's not part of your drawing, but you can use it to help you in your drawing. So that is one way. If you can take that off, another way to create a construction line is to go to the sketch palette. If you go to the sketch palette and you see line type, you can choose construction as a line type you want to draw. If you choose that as a line type, any line you draw, if you draw a line now, it is automatically a construction line. Even if you draw a circle now, it's a circle. If you draw a spline, it's a construction spline. Anything you do with that choice, anything you do when you have chosen the line type to be construction, there are two easy ways to make sure you draw construction lines: by choosing the line type, or by marking the line and pressing X. Those are the two ways you can choose your construction line. So I think we can go back to the slideshow now. So if you can see my slide here, you see now, let's just go through what we did before. We started with the base drawing. After drawing the base drawing, the next thing we did is to use the offset mechanism after we have done a circle and we have done the cutting of the circle. Then everything is offset equally. And then that one, by the time you cut unnecessary lines, you get, after filleting, you get this kind of drawing. And it is this type of drawing that you can now either extrude or revolve or do whatever you like with. So this is the thing you need to do your extrusion. So with this one now, what else do you need? We've talked about the mirror dialog, the two main components of the mirror dialog: objects to be mirrored. You have to choose which object to be mirrored, and then you can select one by one or by fencing. I've showed you how to do the fencing. You just hold down your mouse button until you draw a rectangle around it, and everything fully contained with that rectangle is selected. If you want to be more discriminating, then you can select one by one, make the things big so that you can use the point of your arrow with your cursor to select them. The mirror line can be a real design line, we talked about that, a construction line, we've talked about that, or a coordinate line, which is like the x-axis, the y-axis, or the z-axis. We shall use three methods of selecting mirror line as well as possible ways of selecting objects. We have already done some of that. So after mirroring, we get this kind of drawing. You remember saying this type of thing. This is what we can now extrude to get our slider. We can extrude this to get our slider. Constraining sketches. Let's see, do I have enough time or should I leave this till? It's 5:50 now. I want to see whether we have any further questions before I close the class today. I think we've done enough. We can close the class unless I'll give you 2 minutes, see if anybody would raise a question in the chat room. If there is no question after 2 minutes, admin, there's a question now. Can you have this recording? Yes, you will have the recording. What do you have a question? What's the question? They're going to have the recording, but it will take a day or two because it has to be processed. Sunday onward, question. Or is it an old posting? This slide would go on the website with the later after the slide, after the video is ready. I just done this slide, so that's why they are new. That's why you don't have them out here. Those are the only 2 questions. I hope, I expect by the time you are coming to the next class, you should have extruded this, and then we'll go to the finishing of the holes and what we need to do to make them, and then we'll probably start adding the joints and the assembly of this thing so that we can actually create proper motion of them. Before I go on, let me just tell you what I mean by creating proper motion. If you have if you have extruded, if you have extruded these pieces, I can't find the drawing again. If you have extruded the pieces, there is nothing constraining them to move in any particular way. You can pick the inner one and move it up, and pick the lower one and move it down. They will just be moving as they like. The ability of what joints do is that joint will enforce the correct kind of motion that you want on your components, so that the components cannot move in any other way. So the joint is an assembly process. It's part of the assembly process to constrain the kind of motions that are possible, or even show that some motions are not possible. For instance, if you have a bench, you do not want the back side of the bench to move. So that one will not be moving at all. So I have new messages. Let's see. Color. If you want to add color, that's a whole lecture on its own, a whole set of lectures, rendering. But if you just go through the inspect, in the inspect, the second to the last, then display component colors. It will arbitrarily put different colors on components for you. But let us not worry about coloring right now. Let us just worry about getting our drawings accurate. We will get to colors. I know that most of the time, students are always excited about rendering. And it looks very in a hurry to teach rendering. I talk about rendering after you have mastered getting your drawings correctly done. I noticed that when you create a new component, it comes with a new color, but mine doesn't. Yeah, the reason why yours is not doing that is that you need to go back to the inspect and say display color. That is second to the last. Under inspect, in the toolbar, towards your right, there is inspect, and you say display component colors. So you can toggle that. You can either display component color, set up not displaying component colors. So just go back there, click it to display your color and your components in color onwarding. I mean the one you used in last class. I don't know what you're talking about. You can add color. It's a feature. No, you can add color, but there is a natural color that will come with it if you just display the colors. But there are so many things in it. You can decide to say, okay, this is a piece of wood, this is made of cement, this is made of iron, and it will put the color of iron there. So it will display. You can actually select what object that your body is made of. We was talking about the slides for the last class. Last slide. Okay. The admin will take care of that. Okay. So class, thanks for your attention, and we'll see again next week. But between now and then, please make sure that you practice what we have done today, because I will talk more about theory, but only after you have gained basic skills. Because if you have basic skills, you are not cramming the theory. You are just practicing with it, and you will never forget. But if you are just cramming the thing and you are not doing anything, then you are not really helping yourself. So make sure you do this, create this, and then you can also try with some slider that is different from the one I've used there. Thank you.